Namaste, good evening, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. Once again, I would like to thank the hosts for organizing this conference under the theme of Countering the Pushback. It has provided a forum to discuss national policies and commitments to push forward equal rights agendas and mainstream LGBTQI+ group in policy-related matters. Dear participants, the reality for LGBTQI+ individuals worldwide is fraught with challenges, as we have been hearing since the morning. They endure disproportionately high rates of violence, harassment, stigma, and systemic inequality. Harmful norms and prejudices often lead to isolation, mental health struggles, and homelessness. This is unacceptable in any society that aspires to justice and equality. Addressing these injustices requires more than superficial changes. It demands a paradigm shift. We need policies that speak not only to the realms of the government, but also have the power to transform our social values and norms. I strongly believe nobody has the right to define you. You define yourself. And that is the very, very basic minimum of human rights that we are talking about today. Herein lies the transformative promise of feminist foreign policy. I see that feminist foreign policy truly possesses that transformative process, promise and potential. Whereas patriarchy is inherently hierarchical, exclusive and power-oriented, feminism embraces conciliation, care and inclusion. Feminist foreign policy challenges patriarchal structures that thrive on hierarchy and exclusion. Instead, it prioritizes inclusion, empathy and equity. This also embraces the broader concept of human security, thereby putting all human beings at the front and center of diplomacy. It shifts the gauge from domination and power to mutual understanding and care, an essential foundation for safeguarding the rights of LGBTQI+ persons. To advance equality, we must reimagine our foreign policies with guiding principles, rights, representation, resources, and what our dear Minister from, Deputy Minister and Foreign Minister from Luxembourg talked about, sometimes maybe even the power to say no. These pillars can serve as a framework to ensure the rights of LGBTQI+ individuals, amplify their voices in decision making and guarantee access to opportunities and resources. So feminist foreign policy can shift the dynamics from power and security to mutuality and understanding. This in itself can be a point of departure towards safeguarding the rights and interests of LGBTQI+ and other minorities. Excellencies, dear friends, Nepal is a beacon of inclusivity and constitutionally guaranteed rights for sexual and gender minorities. Our constitution forbids any discrimination based on gender and sexual orientation, and our laws ensure full bodily autonomy to women and people of sexual and gender minorities. On many fronts of progressive policies for the LGBTQI+, we are among the trailblazers, like I mentioned in the prior sessions also. Nepal's judiciary has rendered various progressive verdicts on the rights of gender minorities. Our constitution, promulgated in 2015, made us the world's 10th country to constitutionally protect the LGBTQ people. LGBTQI+ people have been provided with the right to express their identity in official documents and national censuses. Our domestic provisions have been based on the fundamental premise of respect for the dignity and worth of the human person, which are among the first words in the preamble of the UN Charter. Nepal is also active as a member of the UN LGBTQ+1 I-Core group, and we support all efforts in and outside the United Nations to protect the rights of this group. Thus, I stand here before you today because our team at the UN headquarters are very, very encouraged and very motivated by being in this group. They feel we are world leaders in this, world leaders in Asia, and we must take this forth even more. However, there is still a long way to go for the LGBTQI people to enjoy the same opportunities and status as others in society. Therefore, we need to collaborate globally to overcome all these challenges. We need to share experiences and best practices. We need to revitalize the feminist foreign policy by appreciating the sensitivities and concerns of sexual and gender minorities. Towards this end, let us enhance our solidarity on the issues as like-minded countries and advocate and advance these issues in relevant forum and processes. This is what the Equal Rights Coalition and all of us are doing right now. Let us lead by example, championing equality in our policies and our actions. By showcasing our progress, we inspire others to join this movement and foster an environment where LGBTQI+ individuals can thrive. Together, these efforts will empower and embolden the target groups which are forced to live in fear, discrimination, and indignity. When they and larger society accept that it is not a matter of shame or deviation to have a particular sexual orientation, we create an enabling environment for all of us to fight for rights and freedoms. We should also support and strengthen international, regional and national institutions and efforts to safeguard the rights of everyone, including those of the LGBTQI groups. In closing, I call upon all of you to unite in this vital mission. Together we can create a world where diversity is celebrated, where rights are protected, and every individual, regardless of their gender identity or sexual orientation, can live with dignity and freedom. I thank you all.